Alright, so I am going to work my Exam 1 review for my Intro to Statistics course. So this file is on Blackboard and on Launchpad. So you're imagining that you're a consultant and you're working for people who have no idea what statistics is, which is my normal job. So given this data, answer their questions with the R output or some jargon-free lingo. You can assume that they know what mean is, but not things like variance or standard deviation. Okay. So we collected some data. I uploaded a file that has this data in it in CSV format. But let's answer some questions first. Okay. So for that first column only, what is the variable? Well, it's type of artist. It's not really a trick question. Okay, so I have the type of artist, how much they sold, and how many weeks it was on the charts. Okay. What are the levels for that variable? So we have pop and country. So for the rest of the columns, what type of variable is record sales? And that's going to be ratio, because I could sell no records. So I think that question was on a quiz already, but just a reminder, I could sell no records. How might the company operationally define chart weeks? And that's like, how did they come up with this number? Like, where did that number come from? And it could be the weeks. It was in the top 40. Okay, so lots of right answers there. Okay. So a little bit of repeat from, I think, a quiz, but just remember that you need to be able to label what types of variables they are and think about operational definitions. So let's create a histogram of record sales. So first thing I have to do in R is import that data. So I'm going to click Import Dataset from Text File. I'm going to find where that file is hidden on my computer, which is Folders and Folders. Exams. There we go. I'm going to call this something more helpful. Review data. Don't let it give you a space. And then here we have all of our data. Down here looks good. Make sure the header is on, right? So I included the header this time. Import. And then I'm going to click the little down arrow here to make sure to import it correctly. So I've got a factor, which is what I want. That means it's words. So it's a nominal variable. And my two ratio scale variables where I could be 0 on both, but they came in as integers, which is what I want. Make sure this isn't factored over here. So this is the code that imported that data set. Now, that's going to be different for every person's computer. All right. So what was the first question? We need to make a histogram of record sales. Right. Okay. First thing I have to do is load ggplot. Okay, so I went to the chapter 3 notes and I found all my theme coding. So I'm going to import that real quick. This will be given to you on the exam, so you won't have to remember this. Okay. So what I want to do is create a plot. So my plot is ggplot. It's the data set name, so I called it review data. Okay. AES. And a histogram only has one thing in it, so it's record sales. Now I want to create my plot, so let's just look at it. So it should have record sales on the bottom, great. Plus my theme coding. Plus for a histogram, it's geom_histogram. And then I could run that just to see how it looks. Okay. My histogram looks unimodal. I could control bin width a little better. Let's see. Let's make it 100. See what happens. That might be too big. It's not too bad. Let's make it 50. So somewhere between 100 and 50 would probably be a good one, because otherwise it's going to squish it too much. So this would be my histogram. You can hit zoom, control click or right click. If you're on a Windows machine, copy, and then paste it here. So there's my histogram. Okay. Do there appear to be outliers? Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I've got one that's 650 and one that's 500 that's kind of far out there. So these little dudes over here look kind of like outliers because most everybody else is down here. So I would say yes on the right. What shape is the histogram? It's unimodal and positively skewed. Okay. Oh, but the next question is about skew. So I could just say it's unimodal here and positively skewed here. Okay, create a frequency table of chart weeks. So we want to use the table command. Let's see, I've got review data, $, chart weeks. So there's my frequency table. You can do percents or proportions if you want, but that's all I'm really wanting is the frequency table. Oopsie. Okay, so I can see these are the values, and then this here are the frequencies. So 5 is the largest frequency. Now to get into chapter 4, what are the mean, median, modes, and interquartile range for both variables? Okay, so let me do record sales first. Okay, so I needed to find, let's see what all we can get out of summary here. So summary, review data, okay, $, record sales. And that gives me the mean and the median. It also could give me the interquartile range if I wanted to do some subtraction, but so let me write here. We can get the mean and the median with summary. I can calculate the interquartile range by just subtracting, or I could use IQR to get the interquartile range. So it's going to be IQR, review data, record sales. Let's do NA.RM equals true. And that interquartile range is 300. So what that did was took 400 minus 100. Again, that's easy math, but you can use the IQR function. So we got mean, median, IQR. Now I have to do modes. I could do a frequency table and see that it's 5 is the most frequent value. But remember, we had some little mode code, if you will. So let me open that. It's in chapter 4. Okay. Again, you'll get all of this on a little R guide. Okay, let's see. Here we go. So we're going to use the table function. I'm going to copy this exact thing, and I will stick it in my notes. There we go. So I have to just put in the column name. So it's review data, $, record sales, boop, boop. And it tells me everything is the mode. Oh, that's because I was looking at a frequency table of chart weeks, JK. So it tells me everything is the mode, right? And when it does this, that basically means there's no mode. So you can say that there are all modes or there's no mode. And that is because if I look real quick at just a table of record sales, okay, everything is equally likely. So all of them are modes. Highlight that code. Okay. So everything. And now let's do chart weeks. So basically I want to take all this code right here, cut and paste, and just switch out record sale for chart weeks. So here's my summary. So the average chart weeks was 11, the median was 5. Let's look at IQR. It's 1. So third quartile's 5, first quartile's 4. Hence the 1. Oh. And then, what was I doing? Modes. Okay, and the mode is singular, it's 5. Did I answer the question completely? What are the mean, median, modes, and interquartile range for both? Yes. What is the biased standard deviation and variance estimate for chart weeks? So we're going to do biased estimates. So remember, you got to have the special formula for biased. Unbiased is what you get naturally. So here's the biased stuff. Oops, I didn't need that there. I needed it here. There we go. So we're going to run both of those and then run pop.var. What was it for? Sorry. Bias, standard deviation, and variance for chart weeks. So let's do chart weeks. Okay, so pop.var, review data, chart weeks. Okay, now don't forget, you have to run these two things first, and then this thing will run. So there's variance, and then pop.sd, review data, $, chart weeks, and there's your SD. If I have done this correctly, the unbiased estimates will be larger, right? Because they have a smaller denominator. So let's test this theory. Oops. Eek. That's why that didn't run. There we go. Goodness, if I can learn how to type. There we go. So it says I don't have to give the numbers, but I think the numbers make it clear. Okay, so they're going to be a little bigger. Why are they going to be a little bigger? The difference between biased and unbiased, denominator. Okay, so biased has N on the bottom. Oh gracious, and is for populations, while unbiased has N-1 on the bottom and is for samples. Create a graph of record sales and chart weeks with a line of best fit. I think we've done this one too. Just to practice, let's make a graph. Okay, so I have record sales and I have chart weeks. Record sales and chart weeks, we've already said, are both integers. And you can't really, if it says line of best fit, that means it's a scatter plot. So let's make that. My plot equals ggplot. Data set name, review data, comma, AES X, so record dot sales, comma, Y, chart weeks. You could switch these. So to get the dots, it's geom underscore point. To get the line of best fit, you do geom underscore smooth. Remember, it has to be method equals LM in there. Highlight, run the whole shebang. And then there's the line of best fit for record sales and chart weeks. All right. So, further proof, I should turn on Do Not Disturb when you're making one of these videos. Right. So, let me do that real quick. There we go. All right. There's my line of best fit for record sales and chart weeks. If you flipped those two, that would be fine as well. Last but not least, create a graph for different types of artists' average record sales. Okay, so this is like the chapter 3 homework. So I have types of artists, which is nominal because it is pop or country, and then I have record sales, which is ratio. So the only option with one categorical and one continuous is bar graph. So let's make a bar graph. Now the thing about bar graphs is it's going to require us to cut and paste a bunch of code. So let me open chapter 3. Okay, we talked about those. Let's do this. I can type that out in a second. here's the sneaky part. Oops, wrong window. Okay. So first thing I gotta do is make a plot again. So my plot equals ggplot, still data set name, AES. Now it's still x comma y, but we always want the categorical variable to be on the x-axis, or the bars will be sideways, and that's just no fun. So type of artist, and then record sales. So plus all the stat summary stuff, plus the second round of stat summary stuff. I'm just gonna hit enter here and it'll make it line up. And then I could go super fancy and do X labels and Y labels. So type of artista, plus Y lab, record sales in 100K. Okay. Let's run all of that. You might get an HMISC error. We just install the HMISC. And then there's our record sales with our error bars. And so it looks like country's selling a lot more than pop, but you look at this error, it's like really big here. So that's just 2 standard errors, which we'll talk more about what the heck that means in a later chapter. But you can kind of think of that as a bunch of like kind of a range of standard deviations. It's not standard deviation, but you can kind of think about it as that idea of how much it's varying around that mean. And then when we get to standard error, we'll talk more about what these bars mean. And then that would be the review for the first exam. So be sure you can make plots, even like with the code. So if I give you the code, you'll be able to know which one to use when. So look at that last slide in the chapter 3 notes. Be sure you understand which one's biased and unbiased standard deviation. What's a histogram, what's a frequency polygon, on how to read those pictures. And then that's the chapter 1 review.